at the end of the day, radical acceptance is always going to be a savior because what we resist persists. So the minute that you just accept that everybody has their opinion and that none of it has to do with me, that radical acceptance just allows you to just clear out everything else that might be accompanying some of these interactions and just let it go.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Thick Thighs Save Lives podcast. I'm Kelsey.
Hey guys, happy Thanksgiving week. I'm Rachel. Um, Basically, what we're going to do with this episode is just to make sure that you're not taking no shit.
You ain't taking no shit. So, if you need a little pump up for maybe your Thanksgiving gatherings, we're here just with a quick episode to pump you up, give you some laugh a little, go into it with a good attitude because literally the only thing, I'm just going to go hard on this, the only thing in life that matters with like how you are taking like receiving anything is your attitude. Like that's it literally is everything.
So true. Not only can you take this into this Thanksgiving week where you might be getting together with some friends, some family, some people you would choose to spend time with, some people you might not choose to spend time with, but you can also take it into the entire holiday season and all your interactions because this year you ain't taking no shit, girl.
Yeah, I'm excited about this holiday season. So that's how
Why do you
I'm going
normally
into
do you
it.
take a lot of shit? Is it
No.
from me? Is it
No, I
me? Am
really
I
I
the
am I
drama?
the drama?
Am I the drama?
I don't, but there's different seasons in your life where you just feel a little bit more sensitive to some of these things. And I think that they are ebbs and flows. Like, I don't think you ever come to a place where you're like, you know what? I've reached a time in my life where like nothing anyone says is like really affecting me and I'm just moving forward. I personally don't think that's like it's an end all be all result. I think it just like ebbs and flows with seasons. And I think that
You
there
know
are
what's the worst season?
what?
Pregnancy and postpartum. Because well, no, let me tell you why, because it's the time you're most unsure. Because
Yeah.
if it's your first baby, you've never done it before, and
Mhm.
unsurety is that a word?
No, but
No, no, not at all. Not at all. It
I
never
was
was and it
gonna
never will be, but, here I
maybe
am.
insecurity and feeling unsure, and then
Insecurity.
you put them
I
together.
like it. I'm just gonna say it. You all of your unsurety leads to, taking more shit because it's just like when you don't feel confident in something, it's just like, "Ooh, I don't know, maybe they're
Well,
right,
you
maybe
play it
I."
over.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
because you're unsure, and that's a natural thing, but also, it still don't mean you have to take no shit.
It's true, but when you armor yourself with it ahead of time, I feel it really makes such a big difference. So, actually, the first onesie that Matt purchased for us, but for me, um, says, "My mom doesn't want your fucking advice." I feel like it was just a legendary move. that is what the first onesie that dad purchases comes to the house. And I was like, you're a vibe and you get
Let's go.
it.
You're a vibe and you get it, and you know what? If she did, she woulda asked.
Yeah, but isn't that it
Okay.
comes out in pregnancy and postpartum, but isn't that for every season? Because you're out here living your life, but a lot of times when you gather with family members, they are prying to be a part of your life, of course, but also give their oh so expert advice as to
Oh,
what you
man.
should be doing in your love life, with your tattoos, with your job, with everything. Every part, they just feel like, "Ah." Man, I just know better. I've just gotta give my advice. And the thing that I want to back this up with is no matter how much of an expert you think you are in life, in parenting, in job experts, you're just killing it. You are not the CEO of somebody else's life. You do not have this, you don't have the same life experience. You don't have the qualifications to tell them how to live their life. You just don't. So if you think you're like, I just, but I just know better, I can help them. No, you don't.
You
I have
know
to
what?
tell
Not
myself that. I say, no, Kelsey, you don't get to try to just guide this person because you think you know better, because you don't. Step back.
I like that you used yourself as an example because I was gonna say, I don't think many of those people are listening to the podcast because this is a self-help podcast, and this is like a place you go to learn and grow and vibe, and, I often find that, ironically, the people that know everything are not learning, growing, or vibing. They already
They're
figured it
like,
all
I
out.
don't need that podcast.
But it is a good no, it is a good reminder for everyone because I also do that shit. I
It
also do
comes
that
from, it
shit.
can, and this is where I want to start with a lot of people when you're going into this, we're going into Thanksgiving, we're going into these gatherings. I want to start with the fact that if you're around family members, no matter how tumultuous your relationship might be, more often than not, their advice, air bunnies, is coming from a place of love. And I want you to remember that, because sometimes when I'm aggressive care bearing someone and I'm like, but just let me help you, you're so sad. Like, I I get caught up and I have to remind myself I'm not the CEO of your life. And sometimes I need to shut up and listen.
Let's
So
go.
they might come at you with love and
I'm gonna
advice.
replay that over and over and over. Aggressive care bear.
Mhm.
You are the CEO just because that's what you would do does not mean you know me. You know me.
Yeah,
I
well,
need
it
help.
comes from a place
I'm
of
gonna
love. You
tell
wanna
you.
see them thrive, you wanna see them happy, and you wanna see it, but you cannot pull people have to pull themselves out of whatever spot they're in. They have to be able to decide their own direction. Just because you think that a different direction would be better, you don't fucking know. You don't know. So they know, and they have to be the deciders.
And if they don't
They
know,
have to be the
then
heroes.
you aren't going to be the hero of their story. If they don't
Mm-mm.
know, they're going to be the hero and they're going to find it out. And maybe you just maybe like few context clues, but like make it subtle, man.
Make
Make
a
it
settlement.
make it
I know.
subtle.
But that's also like a good armor for you too, because as you allow people to be the hero of their own story, you also allow yourself to be the hero of your own story. So when you get some of these shots, you kind of go like, I'm the hero here." Like, you kind of deflect them a little bit easier, because not only are you practicing that with others, but you also have permission to practice that with yourself. Quick interruption, because holy spinolis, Black Friday starts tomorrow.
Well, actually it's Black Wednesday because we made that a thing.
Because we made that a thing, because we want to just give you the first opportunity to get your Black Friday shopping in, done early, feel prepared, be that person that you want to be, that says, you know who the person you want to be? You want to look yourself in the mirror and you say, I got those deals.
I got them. I didn't miss a single deal. And you know what? Wednesday is the day. Tomorrow marks our Black Wednesday event, which has freaking a little bit of everything. We have the best holiday prints. If you still haven't got your hands on a holiday print yet, hit up the site. The cutest stuff, guys. I mean, we brought the gnomes. Like, come
Going
on.
fast.
Come
Yeah.
on. If those aren't already gone. And then cozy, 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 cozy happens tomorrow.
Let me tell you,
Yo,
fleece line zip ups with fleece line like rest day sweatpants. I'm telling you, when we did a photo shoot for these, every person that put them on was like, holy shit. What's
This is
happening? What did you
there's a
guys do?
there's like a it's like a next level. There's like cozy on 10, and then there's what we did with this collection. It's so stupid how freaking amazing. It's like you're wearing a teddy bear. It's the ultimate comfort. You guys have begged us for a zip up in the fleece line. We did it for you. And rest days with the fleece line.
Stop
Boots
it.
with
I'm
the fur?
telling you.
Oh my
We took it a
god.
step further. And the thing is, I live in South Florida and don't even tell me that I won't wear that fleece line zip up because I've been wearing it for months now and it is absolutely perfect. All of the discounts are also going to be available up to 65% off on site while supplies last. So you definitely want to get there on time so that you can look yourself in the mirror and be like, I got them deals, but you don't want to miss out on this. We have so much going on that, be prepared. Get prepared today, load up your cart, and then tomorrow hit it hard.
So we want to talk about, some of the toxic language that might come this week in both around, a big eating holiday
Yeah.
and potentially some family members that might have all their CEO advice on your life that no one asked for. We're going to talk about setting some healthy boundaries today and just like changing the language, going in prepared with like a few. uh, we're going to provide some clapbacks, but going in prepared with a few guidelines for yourself of how to properly set boundaries will make it so that you're not deciding anything on the spot and you're not having after shower conversations with yourself about all the things that you could have said in that moment, right? We're going to go in prepared with appropriate boundaries, what we will accept, what we will not accept, how will we respond, and we're gonna leave feeling so good.
Yes. Do you want to hit some of the funny ones first? Because I couldn't stop giggling at these. So I don't know if I can set the healthy boundaries before I get my giggles out.
Okay, guys, if you know that you are going to receive some questions on your relationship status, hey, how come you always come out without a boyfriend? Uh, well, I was wondering the same. How come you always come without a personality?
I feel that shit in my soul. Um,
Because I can get a
okay.
boyfriend.
I can't. I just want to watch this interaction. I wouldn't be able to eat the rest of Thanksgiving.
Oh my god,
You
it's
know
too
what?
good.
I am a person that can't laugh while I'm eating. Since we're talking about Thanksgiving and laughing, literally the other day, my boyfriend was like, he's looking up videos on how to do the Heimlich maneuver on a pregnant person because
Oh.
he says you're dangerous. I'll start laughing, but I'm eating and I can't help it sometimes. And then I start choking. So then you see the watching videos
It's that
on how to.
small air pipe that you have. That's why you always get the whooping cough too. It's too
I do.
too
It's
small.
true. All
Um,
right. Wait, let me do the single life.
okay.
All right. If someone says you still live in the single life, huh? And you say your husband's still on that business trip, huh?
Oh my god. Don't do it. Don't say that one. Don't do it.
I
Don't.
love it because the
You
single
can't.
shaming, like, literally gets me every time. Like, there's been some superiority to being married or in a relationship. I'm currently in a relationship, and this is no shade. But the fact is that single women live longer than married women and are reportedly happier overall in their life. So,
Maybe
like,
we add
the
one.
shade that
Do we
we're
need a
throwing.
last minute ad of like,
Just straight up
oh,
stats.
you still live in that single life? Yeah, I decided I wanted to live longer.
And happier.
Uh
Like,
so yeah,
so
so that
yeah,
was my decision on that.
I
I
love
listen,
it.
we've got lots of areas of our life in which people could come at with their but we absolutely want to make sure, especially around a big eating holiday,
Yeah.
that you are ready and prepared with any kind of body shaming comments that could come up, diet culture comments we talked a little bit about last week, hit up that episode. But my personal favorite listen, I watch the Jersey Shore. I'm not afraid to admit it, and I love me some Dina, and she gave me the best clapback on weight that I've ever heard. She did it on live TV on the Jersey Shore and said, like, "Hey, why, looks like you gained some weight. Why are you going back for seconds? Looks like you lose a few." And Dina takes no shit and always tells people losing weight is free, but you need about 10 grand to fix that face. So she's kind of a
Classic.
poet. She's a poet of sorts
Yes,
and a
definitely.
wordsmith.
A
And
wordsmith
so I always go
of
with
her
her.
time.
I always
Looks
go with
like
her.
how about looks like you gained a little weight since the last time I saw you. Looks like you lost a little IQ since the last time I saw you.
Clearly, because you be commenting on somebody's weight, you have not gained any IQ. And of course, for my parents out there, we're always going to get um, the lovely combination of kids being off a routine, eating things they wouldn't normally eat, and then the people who haven't seen you and don't know your kids that well, judging them based solely on that experience. And I just want to reassure you that if anyone starts a sentence with, if my kids ever acted like that, there's always the, oh, I've been meaning to ask you on your advice on parenting because I wanted to start a list of things I want to avoid.
I would totally put that one in my back pocket,
Have
and
it ready.
I just wanted to, like, for people who just acknowledge, because you said a really great thing there of, like, kids being off their routine, eating things, like, people are also, like, if you have any young kids, like, in their face, like, demanding, like, a performance almost a lot of times around this time of year, which can
Give Auntie Betty a kiss.
yeah, it can set your kids off in like a way that they wouldn't typically act, and they just kind of like act out in a way of like no. Now and add that they're tired, that they're distracted, they're around a lot of people, they might be a little unsure, and now they're kind of like demanding some type of performance. It just like I have already seen, this play out and just being like, "Oh, man, that sucks. How do we how do we navigate that?" Because it's really hard to be like, "Well, if, you'd step back, give a little space and less demands, you might get a better reaction."
Don't let anyone ever judge your kids based on 3 interactions per year. It's just not appropriate. It's you don't second guess anything you're doing based on what someone says that sees them 3 times a year. I'm sorry. It's just there's
Yeah,
better people. There's better people if you
in your
want
life.
to,
Yeah.
yeah, if you want to go to it for advice. So we're just gonna go quickly through a couple of guidelines that could kind of set your mind right going into some of these holiday interactions. And the first one that I want to highlight is just the radical acceptance. If all else fails, if all your clapbacks fall short, if you can't say the savage thing in the moment and you freeze up, at the end of the day, radical acceptance is always going to be a savior because what we resist persists. So the minute that you just accept that everybody has their opinion, opinions are like assholes, and that none of it has to do with me, that radical acceptance just allows you to just clear out everything else that might be accompanying some of these interactions and just let it go. Freaking Elsa shit there. And it's all. It can all be brushed off once radical acceptance happens.
Did you notice my Elsa braid today?
I did.
We
Did you
had
guys do
to have
matching?
yeah.
I knew it. I
Yes,
knew it.
we had to have our Elsa braids today. It was a whole thing. It was a whole vibe. So now I have an Elsa braid. So if you guys didn't know, these are in and I'm making it a thing.
It's now a thing.
I really love radical acceptance because when it comes down to when you're thinking about what this actually means and some of the opinions or nasty comments that you feel like are just uncalled for and that are kind of like directed your way or like that are coming and you're like no no that was just uncalled for and that was unacceptable kind of not I'm not just talking about the ones that are like well meaning but I'm talking about the nasty ones that you're just kind of like you didn't mean that in any kind of nice way. Why are you throwing shade
Wow.
at me?
Yeah.
Yeah, it just I think that when you really, really think about it, when someone is throwing something out like that, it's really a reflection of themselves and not you. You are some type of catalyst for them right now, but that is not a reflection of you. And as soon as you kind of just let that part go, that is somehow a reflection of how you've interacted with them. I've found myself particularly hurt by these things. I say, like, I don't treat you that way. Why would you treat me that way? And that's not a reflection of me.
Not about you.
It's not about me. And really, when you come back to that and say, like, whoa, 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 ego, this isn't about you. They're throwing this out there. And honestly, I feel hurt for them that you feel so angry or unhappy or whatever, some type of shame or some type of like questioning your own parenting, so now you feel like you have to question mine. Like that must be a hard existence anyway, and I'm just gonna go like, "Ugh, I'm sorry for that, like I'm sorry for you, but that's not a reflection of me. I don't allow it
S-
in."
Sucks to suck.
Mm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Manage your expectations. Guys, if you know you're going to see someone that's going to exercise your demons, don't go in looking for
Oh, we
things.
do
Don't
though.
wait. Don't sit there on edge waiting for them to say the thing so that you can go on attack mode. Manage your expectations. The best thing you can possibly do is have reasonable expectations of someone based on the past experience that you've had with them, and don't create self-fulfilling prophecies, right? I
Yeah.
know this person is going to say something offensive, and all of a sudden you're taking things that maybe weren't really meant in that way and kind of creating them into these bigger deals. So just
You
manage
create
your
this
expectations.
scenario.
Yeah.
You 100% do. You go in with it and you say, like, I have this past experience with this person or a couple people, and this is what I expect from them. And you're setting the whole thing up to be exactly as it were. And I just want to also remind you guys, like, as you grow and change throughout the years, other people are growing and changing throughout the years as well. So sometimes you're like just like going in and acknowledging and creating space for that and not being so on edge with like they're gonna say this thing. You can just go in managing your expectations and allowing space to be present pleasantly surprised.
Just in case.
Just in case.
Just in case. Who knows what podcast they've listened to since the last
Yeah.
time you saw them. Maybe they're gonna be like, "Hey,
Six
that's a
eyes, say
great
less.
podcast. Have you heard of it?" You're like, "Oh my god." Um, I wanna encourage everybody to, especially if you know you might be going into a stressful situation, set a time limit. I will be able to be there. Oh, yes, I'd love to come. I will be able to be there until X. That way, no one's asking you, oh, why are you leaving so soon? Or if you know right off the bat that it would be better for you to set a time limit on this, on your exposure to this scenario, then just do it and let the people know ahead of time so that, and I don't care if that's an hour. I don't care if you have to say, I've thought about this. I have sat down with myself, and all I can do for my mental, spiritual, and physical health is 1 hour with these people. Then all I have to say is, Absolutely, I can come. I'm so happy to come. I can swing through for about an hour and then I have to go, unfortunately. And just set that up in advance so that there is no storming out or staying beyond what you might have expected was what you could handle and then flying off, and it just set a time limit.
Well, this really is a guideline, in my opinion. This is a guideline for a lot of times for you and your partner going into a family scenario together. When you're not on the same page and when you don't have that kind of like limit outline, it can create a tension between the two of you where like the tension shouldn't be there. It's if the tension is outward and that's where it lives and you know that's where it lives, that's okay, but it shouldn't make its way into the relationships that you don't want it to make its way into. And a lot of people find themselves arguing with their partners who they really do like around the holidays because there is no clear guidance or expectations for what is going to happen, and it leaves one person feeling like, well, why are we still here? I'm under a lot of stress, and the other person not even like knowing or understanding or being like, why do we have to leave? Decide this ahead of time so you both agree on it, and then you say like, we know that this is what we're going to do. We've set the expectation for the family. This is just boundaries.
This is such good I that's such good advice, especially for couples, because you're so right. One person is someone's mother-in-law and the other person is someone's mama. So, you might have different standards for how long is going to be appropriate. And if you do, maybe you come to some kind of an agreement, or maybe you say, we're going to take two cars.
Hmm.
Because, oh, I have to be at this work thing, but I'm happy to come by and he's going to stay
Hmm.
with the kids. You know what I mean? Like boundaries, boundaries. Um, One thing that I really think is super effective, if you kind of get forced into these, like, we're all sitting around, there's nothing really to do, and then it turns to politics or my love life or like things that you don't want to discuss. Bring some games. There's those minute to win it games that don't need like anything beyond like, just what you have in your kitchen, paper plates, like some straws, like you can move marshmallows to one thing or another. I would say this is one of the best ways to leave a family gathering feeling like it was fun and you didn't get roped or pushed into any topics that you didn't want to discuss, because there's stuff to do. And the stuff to do is like it involves a lot of laughing, some friendly competition, and you just end up in the physicalness of it. It's better vibes. So I would highly suggest some of the minute to win it games for every family, even if you have a family that gets along great,
Yeah.
because it limits that downtime where something could come up that is less desirable.
Honestly, I love this suggestion because it kind of takes everyone's guard down when you start to play a game together. It just kind of like allows you to be silly, goofy, funny, and it just like you can kind of just like it takes attention down a little bit. I love playing games for that reason. And you might even find like once you take that guard down, your interactions post any of those games are better because you kind of like you had this cool icebreaker almost that you got to do all together. And it's just a really like easy way that you can plan to have a good time.
Totally. And like really, seriously, you don't need to hardly prepare anything. There's one game where you just put a cookie on your face and then you
Yeah,
have to
we've
get
done
it
it.
to your mouth
Yeah.
without any hands. Like, don't tell me there's no cookies at your Thanksgiving. There's a cookie there. Um,
Yes, we put it on for our we'll do some challenges out on our Instagram as well, but, we've done this one in the past and been families or, like, people coming together, doesn't have to be families, friendsgiving, whatever, have all done it together and sent us videos, and we love to see it, super fun.
Thank you so much for listening to our podcast. But you got to know, we are able to bring you this incredible content each week and talk to you about all of the pressing matters in health and fitness because of our successful TTSL workout program.
We have incredible coaches, movement demos, and just different cycles all the time. So we take the thinking out of your training every day.
If you would like to join us, please go to ttsldaily.com and pick out your package. You are going to love every day of fitness. Second to last tip is you might want to think about going easy on the booze. Now, I know that going into an uncomfortable situation, sometimes we tend to do the opposite. I gotta just bring myself down with a glass of wine. I gotta like drink to make this bearable and stuff. And I get it, but I have found that anyone who I've talked to that's used this ends up more in the regret than they would have, because either you aren't sharp enough to kind of say the things you want to say and then you end up having your shower conversations, or you say way more than you wanted to say and sort
You
of
have regret.
create, yeah, you have regret. Either way there's regret. So
Yeah.
I just, listen, if you are wanting to booze it up a little during the holidays, just do it with people that you know that it's going to be a good time, right? Not the situations where you're anticipating some discomfort. That's probably one where you just want to cut it.
100%. Last one is just create clear boundaries. This is a really important time for boundaries, but I do want to say this. As if you are not familiar with creating boundaries, you might go in one direction or the other. And creating clear boundaries does not mean it's you against the world. It does not mean you're rude. It doesn't mean that you are just snapping at people and calling them boundaries. That's not boundaries. When you're creating clear boundaries, it sounds like I'm not going to discuss that. It's just it's very clear, and it comes from you. It's all of these statements should start with I. When you're creating, and I want everybody in this, when you think you're creating boundaries, but you're saying things like you can't do that and think that you're creating boundaries, that's not how that works. Boundaries are for you alone, and they're all I statements. Like something like, thank you, but I won't have discussions about my child's behavior in this setting. That's a very clear boundary. That could be for people like parents, mother-in-law, whatever, that kind of want to discuss something that you might be open to discussing with them in the future, but this is not the time or place to do that, where you can let them know that they are heard, and that potentially you can open up this discussion in the future, but this is not the setting to do that. I'm not going to discuss politics with you, so please don't bring it up with me again. See how these are all boundaries revolving you. So I want you to, because when it comes to creating boundaries, I think a lot of people, it's a hard place to navigate, right? And sometimes you go too far and you say like, "Oh, I was just rude." Like, totally get that. But I don't want you to use creating clear boundaries as trying to control others' behavior. That's not what you're doing. You're setting yourself up for what you will discuss, what you will tolerate, where you will stay present, and not trying to just like almost attack others and say and call them boundaries.
Um, the theme here is that your holiday experiences are under your control.
Yes.
You set the guidelines, you set the boundaries, you set what the expectations are, and then you are responsible. And we've said this a lot of times, that having full power and feeling that full power can sometimes be uncomfortable, but it's also all of the power.
Mm,
And maybe you're not used to having that, or maybe that feels like a lot of responsibility. But at the end of the day, having all of the power in your court really allows you to set your own life and have it go exactly the way that you envision it. And I just don't think the holidays are any different from this, even though the surroundings might be different, the people might be different, the setting might be different. It's still all about you and what you're willing to tolerate and your experience. And I just want to empower everyone to not be a victim of their holiday,
Yeah.
and instead, make it what you want it to be. It's possible.
It is possible, and you can find the opportunities because I just want to remind everyone that the people in your life are not going to be here forever. They absolutely are not. There will be a holiday where you look around and those people are not going to be there anymore. So I just want to, as much as you can feel some built up resentment or whatever, I just also want to remind you that some of these holidays feel very sad for people who want their loved ones there and aren't able to have them. Um, and to look for opportunities of joy and ways to enjoy some of the people who, at the end of the day, do love you because that's why they're there and that's why you're together. And I don't want you to miss that by just, concentrating on some of the friction points that always happen in life. You will never have any relationship ever nobody does, that doesn't have any friction points. If you live life and you interact and they interact with your kids and they interact with your friends or your sibling, it doesn't matter. Your husband, your wife, whatever. Like you're gonna people say things that hurt your feelings. It's inevitable. But if we can just kind of control how we respond to any of that and find the good and find the joy in some of these experiences and set clear boundaries and be in control of how we will respond, I'm telling you, in the long run, it will just be that much better.
If
No
all else
regrets.
fails, no regrets. Hashtag.
Hashtag no regrets.
If all else fails, get your clapbacks. And if you would like to if you would like to share some of your favorite clapbacks with us, get in our group or our CBG Nation app and let us know how you're going to clap back this Thanksgiving. Have a great holiday week. We love you guys.